Hello everyone, it's me Anju Sujgotra and in this video we are going to learn about Constitution of India, its salient features. The Constitution of India is a unique constitution in respect of its voluminous size. The mixture of both federalism, unitarianism, and flexibility and rigidity. The attempt of the constitution makers was to give to the nation a workable constitution capable of securing the unity and stability of the nation and initiating the process of nation building and social economic reconstruction. For this purpose, they tried to embody the best features, that is, the most desired and suitable features from the Indian point of view in the constitution. This they did in a glorious way. Speaking in the Constituent Assembly, Dr. Ambedkar observed, I feel it is workable, it is flexible, and it is strong to hold the country together both in peacetime and in the wartime. Indeed, if I may say so, if things so wrong under the constitution, the reason will not be that we had a bad constitution. What we will have to say is that man was vile. Let's discuss the salient features of the Indian constitution. First feature is written and detailed constitution. The Indian constitution is a wholly written document incorporating the constitutional law of India. It was drafted, debated, and enacted by the Constituent Assembly of India from December 1946 to November 1949, it took 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to make the constitution. The Indian constitution is a written and detailed constitution. It consists of 448 articles divided into 25 parts with 12 schedules and 106 constitutional amendments till date. Jennings describes it as the largest written constitution in the world. This is indeed much bigger than the US Constitution, Japanese Constitution, and French Constitution. The constitution framers did not want to leave things to chance because they were conscious of the socio-economic political problems being faced by the country in the post-independence period. The incorporation of several unique features, the directive principles of state policy, emergency provisions, language provisions, provisions regarding protection of interest of the scheduled caste and the tribes and other backward classes, provisions regarding special constitution bodies like the Election Commission, the UPSC, and state public service commissions, etc., naturally made the constitution quite lengthy. Further, the decision to have a common constitution for the union and the state made the constitution bulky. Added to it, the decision to write in detail such provisions as the fundamental rights, center state relations, the schedules of the constitution, etc., gave additional weight to the constitution. The constitutional amendments have got lagged behind in increasing its size. All this has resulted in making the Constitution a large book of nearly 400 pages. The large size of the Constitution has made the Constitution elephantine. H.B. Kamath minced no words in observing in the Constituent Assembly. The emblem and the crest that we have selected for our assembly is an elephant. It is perhaps in consonance with it that our constitution too is the bulkiest the world has produced. The large size of the constitution has invited the criticism that it is the lawyer's paradise and that more words have made it more complex and rigid. It is said that our constitution is full of difficult words and which common people cannot understand. That is why criticism follows it. And it is told that it is the lawyer's paradise. Means only lawyers can understand those words. However, as already pointed out, the large size of the constitution has been due to peculiar features. The pluralist character of the Indian society, it means the diverse character of the Indian society, as well as the decision to write and settle everything, as far as possible, in black and white. The working of the Constitution since 1950 shows that its large size has been no hindrance. It has been successfully in operation since 26th January 1950. Second salient feature of the Indian Constitution, self-made and enacted Constitution. The Indian Constitution is a constitution made by the people of India through their duly elected and representative body, the Constituent Assembly. It was organized in December 1946 under the Cabinet Mission Plan. Its first session was held on 9th December 1946. It passed the objective resolution on 22nd January 1947. Thereafter, it initiated the process of constitution making in right earnest and was in a position to finally pass and adopt the constitution on 26 November 1949. It is thus a self made and duly enacted constitution. Some critics do not accept this view on the ground that the Constituent Assembly was elected by a small electorate which formed less than 20% of the population and through the system of communal electorate. However, this opinion is not accepted by a vast majority of scholars. They hold that the Constituent Assembly was a truly representative body and it framed the constitution under the sovereign powers vested in it by the people. Third salient feature of the Indian Constitution, Preamble of the Constitution. The preamble of the Constitution of India is a well drafted document which states the philosophy of the Constitution. It declares India to be a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and a welfare state committed to secure justice, liberty, and equality for the people and for promoting fraternity, dignity of the individual, and unity and integrity of the nation. The preamble is the key to the Constitution. It states in a nutshell the nature of the Indian state and the objectives it is committed to secure for the people. Initially, the preamble was not regarded as a part of the Constitution, but since the Supreme Court judgment in the Keshavananda Bharati case, it stands accepted as part of the Constitution. It was amended by the 42nd Amendment 1976 when the words socialist, secular, and integrity were added to it. Fourth feature, India as a democratic socialist state. Although right from the beginning, the Indian constitution epitomized the spirit of socialism which stood writ large on its pages. It was only in 1976 that the preamble was amended to include the term socialism. It is a prime feature of the state in India. India is committed to secure justice, social, economic, and political to all its people by ending all forms of exploitations. It also stands for securing equitable distribution of wealth. This has, however, to be secured not by the Marxist revolutionary means but by peaceful, constitutional, and democratic means. The term India is a socialist state really means that India is a democratic socialist state. It signifies the commitment to secure socio-economic justice through the democratic process, liberalization, competitiveness, organized planning, and rapid socio-economic reconstruction and development. Fifth salient feature of Indian Constitution, India as a secular polity. By the 42nd Amendment, the term secular was incorporated in the preamble. Its inclusion simply made the secular nature of the Indian Constitution more explicit. As a state, India gives special status to no religion. There is no such thing as a state religion of India. This makes it different from theocratic states like the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Positively, secularism of India guarantees equal freedom to all religions. Under Article 25 to 28, the Constitution grants the right to religious freedom to all the citizens. It provides for equal rights to all the citizens without any discrimination, the rule of law, and special protection to minorities. The state does not interfere with the equal religious freedom of all the citizens. Sixth salient feature of Indian Constitution. India as a liberal democratic state. The Constitution of India is a democratic constitution. The authority of the government rests upon the sovereignty of the people. The people enjoy equal rights. On the basis of their equal political rights, they participate in politics. They elect their government. Elections are held after regular intervals or as and when these are considered essential. These are free, fair, impartial, and are based on the principle of universal adult franchise and other democratic principles. For all its acts, the government is responsible before the people. The people can change their government through elections. No government can remain in power which does not enjoy the confidence of the representatives of the people. The government enjoys defined and limited powers. It always acts under the constitution, which represents the supreme will of the people. The representative, responsible, and accountable character of the government symbolizes the self rule of the people. India has firm faith in the ideology of liberalism. Seventh feature, India as a republic. India is not ruled by a monarch or a nominated head of state. It has an elected head of state who wields power for a fixed term. President of India is elected head of a state. He is the supreme symbol of Indian sovereignty and democracy. Eighth feature, India is a union of states. Article 1 of the Constitution declares India, that is Bharat, shall be union of states. It does not describe India either as a federation or a unitary state. This expression, unions of states, indicates two facts. Number one, India union is not the result of a voluntary agreement among sovereign states as was case in the USA. And second, the constituent units of India, provinces or states, have no right to secede from the union. India as such is a union of states. At the time of independence, there were 29 states in the Indian Union. These stood divided into Part A, Part B, Part C, and Part D states. After the 1956 reorganization of states, these were reorganized into 16 states and 3 union territories. Gradually, through several changes, the number of states and union territories has been changing. India has now 28 states and 8 union territories. Ninth feature, mixture of federalism and unitarianism. While describing India as a union of states, the Constitution provides for a federal structure with a unitary spirit. Scholars describe India as a quasi-federation or a federation with a unitary bias or even as a unitary federation. Like a federation, the Constitution of India provides for number 1, division of powers between the center and the states. Number 2, a written and rigid constitution. Number 3, supremacy of the constitution. Number 4, an independent judiciary with the power to decide center-state disputes over the division of powers. And number 5, bicameralism. However, by providing for a very strong center, a common constitution, single citizenship, emergency provisions, a common election commission, common all India services, etc., the constitution clearly reflects the unitary spirit. Further, the constitution works as a unitarian constitution during an emergency. The mixture of federalism, unitarianism has been done keeping in view both the pluralistic nature of the Indian society and the presence of regional diversities, and the need for securing unity and integrity of the nation. The former feature has compelled a decision in favor of federalism, while the latter has necessitated unitarianism. Hence, the Constitution of India is neither federal nor unitary but a mixture of the two. 10th feature, mixture of rigidity and flexibility. The Constitution of India is rigid in parts. Some of its provisions can be amended in a difficult way, while others can be amended very easily. In some cases, the Union Parliament can amend a part of the Constitution just by passing a law. For example, the formation of new states, increase or decrease in the territories of the states, rules regarding citizenship, provisions regarding the creation or abolition of the legislative council in a state, etc., can be amended by this simple method. Even the Rajya Sabha alone can make changes in two spheres by passing a resolution supported by a two-third majority. Under Article 249, it can declare a state subject as a subject of national importance and thereby place it for 1 year within the law-making jurisdiction of the Union Parliament. Likewise, under Article 312, it can establish or abolish by any all India service by this mechanism. These features reflect the flexibility of the Constitution. 11th feature, Fundamental Rights of the People. In its Part 3, Articles 12 to 35, the Constitution of India grants and guarantees certain fundamental rights to its citizens. Initially, 7 fundamental rights were granted, but with the deletion of the right to property from the category of the fundamental rights, their effective number has come down to 6. However, under each fundamental right, several rights and freedom have been incorporated. The 6 fundamental rights are: right to equality from Article 14 to 18, right to freedom from Article 19 to 22, right against exploitation from Articles 23 to 24, right to freedom of religion from Articles 25 to 28, cultural and educational rights from Articles 29 and 30, right to constitutional remedies in Article 32. 12th feature, the National Human Rights Commission and several state human rights commissions. With a view to protect better the democratic and human rights of the people of India, the Protection of Human Rights Act 1993 was passed by the Union Parliament. Under it, the National Human Rights Commission, headed by a retired Chief Justice of India, was established. NHRC acts as an independent commission with the status of a civil court for preventing violations of the human rights of the people and, in cases of proven violations of human rights, for ordering compensation for the victims. Several states of the Indian Union have also created state human rights commissions for a better protection of human rights. 13th feature, Fundamental Duties of the Citizens. The Constitution under its Part 4A, Article 51A, incorporated by the 42nd Amendment 1976, enumerates the following 10 fundamental duties of the citizens. Number 1. Respect for the Constitution, the national flag, and the national anthem. Second, cherishing the noble ideals of the freedom struggle. Third, uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India. 4. Defend the country and render national service when called. 5. Promote the common brotherhood of all the people of India and renounce any practice derogatory to the dignity of women. 6. Preserve the rich heritage of the nation's composite culture. 7. Protect the natural environment and have compassion for living creatures. 8. Develop scientific temper, humanism, and spirit of inquiry and reform. 9. Safeguard public property and abjure violence. 10. Strive for excellence in all individual and collective activity. 11. Added by 86th Amendment, it is duty of parents to provide education to their children. The fundamental duties are, however, not enforceable by the courts. Like the directive principles, these also form a part of the constitutional morality. 14th feature, Directive Principles of State Policy. Part 4, Article 36 to 51 of the Constitution, dealing with the directive principles of the state policy, provides one of the most striking features of the Indian Constitution. Incorporating this part of the Constitution, the framers of the Constitution were influenced most by the constitution of the Irish Republic and the ideologies of Gandhism and Fabian socialism. The directive principles are instructions to the state for securing the socio-economic developmental objectives through its policies. These are both for the union and the states. The directive principles, for example, direct the state to ensure for the people adequate means of livelihood, fairer distribution of wealth, equal pay for equal work, protection of children, women, labor and youth, old age pension, social security, local self government, protection of the interest of the weaker sections of society, etc., and work for the promotion of cottage industries, rural development, international peace, friendship, and cooperation with other states, etc. In the words of J.N. Joshi, they constitute a very comprehensive political, social, and economic program for a modern democratic state. If the fundamental rights of the citizens contained in Part 3 of the Constitution lay the foundation of political democracy in India, the Directive Principles Part 4 spell out the character of social and economic democracy in India. The directive principles are not legally enforceable by any court. Nevertheless, the Constitution declares that they are fundamental in the governance of the country, and it shall be the duty of the state to apply these principles in making laws. 15th feature, non-sovereign bicameral union parliament. The constitution provides for a bicameral legislature at the union level and designates it as the union parliament. Its two houses are the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. The Lok Sabha is the lower, directly elected house of the parliament. It represents the people of India. Its maximum strength stands fixed at 545. The people of each state elect representatives in proportion to its population. The tenure of the Lok Sabha is 5 years, but the president, under the advice of the prime minister, can dissolve it earlier also. The Rajya Sabha is the upper, indirectly elected house which represents the states. Its total membership is 250. Out of these, 238 are elected by all state legislative assemblies through a system of proportional representation, and 12 members are nominated by the president from among us eminent persons from the fields of arts, science, and legislature. The Rajya Sabha is a quasi permanent house. One third of its members retire after every 2 years. Each member has a term of 6 years. Of the two houses, the Lok Sabha is the more powerful house. It alone has financial powers and it alone can remove the ministry from office. The Council of Ministers is collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. However, neither the Rajya Sabha is as powerless as the British House of Lords, nor the Lok Sabha is as powerful as the British House of the Commons. The Union Parliament is not a sovereign parliament. It is constituted under the Constitution and it exercises only those powers which the Constitution vests in it. However, it has the power to amend all parts of the Constitution but without effecting a change in the basic structure. 16th feature, Parliamentary democracy. India has a parliamentary system of government at the center as well as in every state. It is modeled on the British pattern. The President of India is the constitutional head of state with nominal powers. The Union Council of Ministers, headed by the Prime Minister, constitutes the real executive. Ministers are essentially the members of the Union Parliament. The Council of Ministers is responsible collectively for all its acts to the Lok Sabha. The Lok Sabha can remove the ministry by passing a vote of no confidence, and the ministry has the power to get the Lok Sabha dissolved by the president. Likewise, in every state, also a parliamentary government on similar lines is at work. Thus, the features of the parliamentary system of government are enshrined in the Indian Constitution. 17th feature, Universal Adult Suffrage. Another feature of the Constitution is the introduction of universal adult suffrage. The introduction of adult suffrage, writes Professor Srinivasan, without any qualifications of any kind, is one of the boldest steps taken by the Constituent Assembly and is an act of faith. Under the Government of India Act 1935, only 14% of the total population secured franchise, and women constituted just a negligible proportion of the total electorate. Under the new constitution, both men and women enjoy an equal right to vote. Now, the qualifying voting age stands lowered from 21 to 18 years. All men and women above the age of 18 years are eligible to vote in the elections provided their names stand registered in the voters list. 18th feature, single integrated state with single citizenship. Another characteristics of constitution is the integration of the Indian states with the rest of India. Our new constitution is not an alliance between democracies and dynasties, but a real union of the Indian people built on the basic concepts of the sovereignty of the people as equal citizens of India. All citizens enjoy a common uniform citizenship which entitles them all to equal rights and freedom and equal protection of the state. 19th feature is single integrated judiciary. Though the Constitution provides for a federal structure, it establishes a single integrated judicial system common for the Union and the states. 20th feature, a constitution drawn from several sources. In formulating the Constitution of India, the founding fathers used several sources. The values and ideals of the national movement guided their path. The national movement influenced them to adopt secularism. Some provisions of the Government of India Act 1935 were used by them, and several features of some foreign constitutions influenced them and were adopted by them. In adopting the parliamentary system and bicameralism, the British Constitution influenced them. The US Constitution influenced them in favor of republicanism. Independence of the judiciary, judicial review, and Bill of Rights. The progress of the USSR after the 1917 Socialist Revolution influenced them to adopt socialism as a goal. Likewise, they were influenced by the constitutions of Canada, Australia, Weimar Republic, and Ireland. I hope this video will be informative to you. Subscribe for more videos.